大家好，我叫 Brodie， 我关心你们，支持我。I'm actually on the youth board, so for every single local board there tends to also be a youth board, and the youth board are just young people who have an interest in local politics and an interest in community development. So I've been on that for some time, and I was really passionate about working with people and creating community activities for everyone to take part in and fostering those relationships. So I saw that there was kind of a lack of a different voice on the local board, and I thought it would be cool to represent a different kind of perspective. In this election, I think the fact that I am young is quite helpful. I think my university degree complements the role quite a bit, and as before mentioned, I do have a diploma of languages in Chinese. Well, I'm undertaking a diploma of languages in Chinese, and I'm quite interested in Asian studies. So that's one thing that I was quite passionate about and part of like my platform, just because Albert Eden, and particularly in like Balmoral, there's a really high density of Chinese population and quite a few immigrated peoples, and I feel like they don't really take part, and that's because they're not really actively included in the process. So I think it would be quite cool to try and engage everybody and not just Kiwi-born people. I sort of just started it because I thought I would just take it as a general paper, and then I just fell in love with the language and fell in love with the culture as well, because at the University of Auckland you don't just study the language, you also study kind of the why behind everything that is Chinese, and the history was so fascinating and it's just so extensive, and I found it really special just to learn about the world from a non-Western perspective, and I found that a lot of what we're taught in school isn't really the full story. So I just thought it was really important for having a comprehensive view of how the world works. If you want to know how everything interacts with each other, you need to know what happens in China, because that is where a lot of our own cultural habits came from, a lot of business, language, culture, and like science, education, it all just sort of happened over there quite early. So I really enjoyed making friends in my classes who were maybe New Zealand born Chinese or who had come over from China and just taking some extra papers, and I just found it was quite cool to like make those friendships. None. Yeah, I do find it very difficult. I think it is completely different to English, so to anyone who comes to New Zealand and learns English after knowing Chinese, honestly, hats off, because it is so difficult. It's just like the backwards of everything you know, and it's kind of simpler than English because a lot of nuances in English don't really make sense, but it's also just harder to relearn that. And I also found the writing quite hard because I was just like, there's so much to remember. But I found that, and I know that this is like supported by studies, just that aspect of having that sort of picture-based learning, it's really good for your brain. So I'm hoping that it'll make me smarter in the long run. I have an uncle who's homeless. So homelessness in New Zealand has always been a really big thing that I'm passionate about advocating for, and I feel like particularly in Auckland there's just so much poverty, and these people aren't really given a voice, and they're just kind of invisible because they're sort of an inconvenience, and it just kind of, I think it's a shame because there's so many people who need compassion and they need support, and they're just sort of shunned from society. So I thought it would be cool to raise awareness about that, and so proceeds from that went to an aspiring leaders forum that I'd been nominated to go to, and then all the extra went to Auckland City Mission, and I collected shoes for Auckland City Mission as well.